Well, I want to welcome Kristine Lilly, who is a native nutmegger. First Connecticut Sun game?
Yes.
All right, well, you brought them luck.
I'm coming back.
It was a great game for TV, so thank you so much for that. Kristine Lilly, 5 World Cup appearances,
Yeah.
3 Olympics, 2 Olympic gold medals, 23 years on the U.S. women's national team. How does one do that?
Thank you. Well, I think, when we were playing, our careers paralleled each other pretty much, and we're part of the time where we're just breaking through, in basketball and soccer, just girls are doing that, and we just loved what we did. I loved what I was doing. I wanted to win. I wanted to be the best in the world. I wanted to compete, and then suddenly we just started to make way and give young girls more opportunities, and when you start doing that kind of work, you just feel like you still got to do it as long as you can. And fortunate, I was healthy throughout my career. And now I'm a little bit tired, but it's okay, I can rest now. But it was just a lot of fun, and I worked my tail off just to be on that field, and had some great women to do it with on the field, work hard together.
So I think it's something that's a really important question, especially for me to ask here right now. You played at the University of North Carolina, 4 national championships while you were there. You're from Connecticut.
Oh.
During the women's basketball season, the college women's basketball season, who's your team?
Who was my team?
Who's your team?
UConn, of course.
Okay. If I was asking you these questions in Chapel Hill, what would your answer be?
It might be different. But my husband went to UConn, so I do have a soft spot, and you did as well.
So
I support my girl.
Now, our careers did parallel each other's. When you won the World Cup in 1999, the WNBA had just started. But one of the things that I thought really interesting when I was reading your bio, so your oldest daughter, Sydney, is here.
Yes.
Is it true she was born on your birthday in 2008?
It was. Sydney was born on my birthday.
Now, my son was born in 2008 on my birthday.
No way.
So I want to know
Hold on, when's your birthday?
What's that?
When's your birthday?
October 6th.
Oh, okay.
So this is my question.
Yeah.
Have you had your own birthday cake since she was born? Because I certainly haven't. I've been eating like Darth Vader cakes and Star Wars cakes and whatever.
Yes.
How do you guys work it in your family?
Well, this year we got a big water slide for my birthday, for her birthday. I like to say that I am turning 11 along with my daughter. Whatever she's turning is what I'm turning. That's what we start doing. But I haven't had a birthday since. No.
Right.
But it's okay, right, Sid? Yeah.
You're
she's
all right
fine
with
with
that? So getting back to the topic at hand, which is women's sports.
Yes.
And your role in women's sports. 20 years ago was when your team galvanized the nation in 1999 with the World Cup victory. Similar thing happened this summer with the women's national team. What were your thoughts on what they were doing, and in some ways how it was similar to what your team did in terms of the energy and enthusiasm, not only around women's sports, but around women that it led to?
Yeah, well, I think the times right now for women's sports is totally different than 20 years ago. And I think 1999 when we won, I think kind of springboard that to fast forward to where we are now. And I remember winning in 99, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're world champions. But then what happened that summer too, after the World Cup was over, we'd go around and we'd hear all these stories. Like, oh, I was sitting at the airport getting ready to get on my plane, and I couldn't board because we were watching you guys go to PKs, or my younger daughter wants to play soccer, or this woman that's 40 years old is like, I just joined the over 40 league. So things started to change. Women started to get into soccer, get into other sports, and now if you fast forward 20 years, we're not talking about them playing the sports anymore. Now we're talking about how we're changing it. More equal pay, not just the pay, but just the support. Women, we want more respect. We want it to be, if a guy, a female soccer player and a male soccer player walked into the room, we want the equal respect. They don't want the guys to get treated this way and the girls get treated that way. So I think that's where we are in society, and society's ready for it. We're ready for the women to be here and be seen. And I think that's due to not only what we did in 1999, but I was talking earlier about the 1996 Olympics. That was the Olympics where women's soccer, women's basketball, women's track and field, synchronized swimming, gymnastics, all these women were dominating, winning gold medals, and kind of that was the first springboard. And I think '99 kept it going, and obviously now with the women winning back-to-back World Cups, which is very difficult, was so awesome.
Where were you, and who were you with when you were watching the championship game?
I was very fortunate. I was in France. My daughter was there, not right next to me, but over a little bit. I was with Carla Overbeck, who was our captain. Cindy Parlow, who played on the '99 team. Julie Foudy was taking notes for her work that she was doing for ESPN. And then our kids were with us, and we were, at the game live. And I've only seen, I think, 4 World Cup games. One of them was a men's final in '98, these 2 semifinals and final, and then another game in 2011. So to be a fan now and to see the women and see how happy they were. I mean, we've been in positions where winning, and you know how it feels, but then just to see the happiness in their face and how hard they trained for that, it was really priceless. It was really enjoyable to be now a big fan of theirs.
Were you aware at the time, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, is that you can't have perspective until you get old enough to be able to look back on something. Were you aware that there was something special happening in 1999, and how do you see what you did then now that you have that space and have that perspective?
Yeah, that's just a great question. I think a lot of us don't realize the impact we have at the time. I think we look back and realize the bigger impact we've had. And I think after having kids really puts it into more perspective for me, because now when I see my daughters looking at the current team, they could care less about me. Megan Rapinoe, Tobin Heath, those are the players they love. And to see them look at those players, and then I realized, I'm like, you know what? 20 years ago, we were getting looked like at that from young people. And I just think if we remember that every time we're around people or doing something, we make an impact. You guys make an impact on people, and you don't realize it. And I think athletes have that stage to do that constantly. And if it's a positive impact, you're making a difference in someone's life, it's so incredible. And I think our group in '99 realized what we were doing, and to know that we were part of that progression of changing people's views on women's soccer specifically and making a difference was pretty awesome.
I remember early on when the WNBA started and being at a game, and you'd see kids with your jersey on. And I remember how it really struck me the first time I saw a little boy with my jersey on, because I'm like, oh, this little boy might grow up a little bit differently than boys before this league existed. But nothing struck me more than when my own daughters wanted a Brianna Stewart jersey or got a chance to high-five her at a game, and just seeing the world in a completely different way as the parent and the parent of daughters. So awesome for what women's soccer has done and for the WNBA as well.
Incredible.
I also think, like, when I look at, I played in those '96 Olympics as
Yeah.
well, and part of the reason they were so important, not only with the women's success, but they were in Atlanta, so they were in this country for a lot of people to see. And other than getting the medal around my neck, my strongest memory from the gold medal day was drinking champagne that night with my teammates. Like, what's your strongest memory from your gold medal games or from your World Cup championships? Like, what do you think of when those things are brought up?
Well, I think the Olympics, I think, is a little bit different than the World Cup, because I think as a young kid, you always watched the Olympics and you always wanted to be on the podium and hear your national anthem. So I remember in '96, because that was also the first time women's soccer was in the Olympics. So that was the first Olympics ever for soccer. And I remember just standing on the podium with my teammates and friends and just looking, like this, and I'm like, we did it, we won the first gold of women's soccer, and we did our childhood dream, to be a gold medalist. So I think just the moments with your teammates is really what you remember, and it's not necessarily on the field. When we get together now, we don't talk about like, oh, you remember that game when you missed the goal, Mia? If she ever missed a goal, who knows? But it's like, oh, you remember in the locker room when we did this? Or, it's those things. So that's the stuff I remember. And I think the World Cup, it's the celebrations after, but intimately with your teammates, and where you can take a breath and be like, all that hard work, look what we did. And that's when you really appreciate and kind of pat yourselves on the back a little bit.
And we're sort of lucky in that Whereas now the Women's World Cup celebration was all over a bunch of different Instagram and
Oh,
Twitter
yeah.
feeds.
Nah, I wouldn't
Our
want
kids
that.
don't have any idea. They have no visual proof of what we were doing after those championships.
No.
And you talk about some of those things. One of the most iconic images of the '99
Yeah.
World Cup was Brandi Chastain, shirtless, sliding underneath of the bra. My question, what's the better celebration, that or the Rapinoe pose?
Brandy. Well, I think, why I think Brandy stands out to me so much differently because it was a moment. Like, we were all just watching her take this penalty kick. Megan Rapinoe had so many, I mean, she had 2 PKs in that game to the win, and then the game gone on. But Brandy's moment, I mean, it was suspenseful. We're waiting. I'm like, oh my gosh, please, Brandy, score this. And I can just see it. And the greatest thing for us, we were at the mid-stripe, so Brandy's getting ready to take it. And once she kicked it, and before it even passed the goal line, we knew it was in just by the angle. So we were like, oh my God, yes. And I mean, I didn't even realize she took her shirt off until I saw the pictures. And they're like, did you plan that? I'm like, yeah, Brandy thought, okay, when I score, I'm going to take my shirt off and clench my fist, make these huge muscles, and be the happiest person ever now. But it's such, if you see the image of her, it's just so powerful and happy. And the joy that picture brings and strength it brings, I think kind of epitomizes what women we've gone through and where we continue to want to go.
It hits home to me too because your daughter is here. There wasn't professional women's soccer when you were a kid coming up. When did you kind of realize I can do this, not only just for a college scholarship, but I can make a living at this, that I can continue to play long after that?
I think it was after '99, to be honest with you. I mean, in the early year, I was on the team in '87 and graduated college in '93. So we weren't getting paid. And then when I graduated in '93, I got an endorsement deal by Adidas where I got my first paycheck. I was like, oh my, this is great. So then I was like, well, maybe I can do this. Still living out of my dad's house, but maybe I could do this. And then I think '99 kind of changed things, and more businesses started to partner up with female athletes. And that was after '96 too, the Olympics. And that's when we're like, you know what? We have World Cup and Olympics that we can keep training for. And if I have the stamina and dedication to my training, I could do this. And I did. And I'm very fortunate for the time I had on the team, and just blessed that I got to play with some amazing, amazing women.
Talk about some of the business aspect of the sport. I've read at least that you're part of a group that is thinking about or looking into bringing a professional women's soccer team here to Connecticut.
Yeah.
What is that process? Where are you in that process? How active are you in that?
Well, I'm part of the group that is doing the grunt work, but it's been a little bit of process. The growth of the NWSL is not too quick because we can't expand too quickly, and then also the process of expanding the expansion teams. There's a couple different areas that are interested, so I think they're trying to figure out the best areas to keep adding to the Pro League. So we're hoping that our proposal and getting groups lined up to put in for a request goes well. But it's not an easy process, and it's not going to be for next year because it's already a year out for that. But hopefully maybe 21. But we're still working to try to make it happen.
There's a lot of youth interest, especially for girls soccer here in the state of Connecticut. So it seems like something that would just be a natural if they could make it work business-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it will, and the big part is the business side. So it's got to be the dollars, the deep pockets that can help make it happen, and then the bigger picture is the fans. I mean, tonight this attendance here was awesome. The game was incredible. I mean, the product on the court's incredible. The product on the soccer field's great. It's a continuous support from the fans. It's the media that help continue to make it grow, that it's always in people's eyesight. Because once you're not in the paper, like the World Cup's done, and I haven't heard anything about women's soccer much, because the World Cup's kind of dying. We have to keep it alive, all the women's sports alive, when we're in season, out of season, to keep it fresh in people's minds, because there's so many other sports we're competing with.
Now, you run camps, and you do a lot in terms of coaching youth soccer. You have a chance to coach your daughters as well. What has your experience, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, what has your experience been like dealing with all the crazy parents of youth athletes these days?
Oh, the parents are wonderful.
That's
including
not what she
myself.
was telling me earlier.
You know, it's tough. It is tough. And I think in the nature of youth sports right now, it's the parents that are getting away of the kids. And we got to remember it's about the kids. It's not about how you feel. It's about how the kids feel on the soccer field. And if we can keep reminding ourselves to let the kids play and let them enjoy themselves, they'll be in good shape. Because kids, the game's over, they want ice cream or they want to go play with a friend. They don't remember the shot that they missed or they don't remember anything because they're kids. You know, they're out there playing and doing their best. So I think as parents, if we can kind of step back and zip it on the sidelines, everyone will be happier.
And I'm sure you've never had a parent second guess your coaching strategy.
Oh, no, not at all, because I know everything, right? Everyone's got, I mean, the great thing about that is some of the parents that are making comments did play. So now we're in a generation that parents now that are coaching played the game, so they have some knowledge. But I think if you want to coach, if you want to say things, then you got to coach. Otherwise, you got to let the coach take care of your kids that are out there and let them be the ones teaching.
And we were talking about it earlier, how important it is for moms to be willing to be coaches too, because still so many times, even if it's for a daughter, it's the dads who are stepping up to be the coach on the sideline. And I see that, and I love it, because sometimes when I'm coaching my son, and I'm the only women's coach in this little youth league, and some of the parents are looking over, the kids are looking over, but my boys see it as a normal thing, and I think that's an important thing. So if you end up having a son along the way, then you can coach him
My
in
daughter
soccer.
does want an older brother, but sorry, Sid.
So 2 gold medals. Some people keep their medals in an interesting place. Where are yours?
Mine are in my drawer. Where's yours?
In my drawer. My desk, which drawer is the question?
I have 2 in my underwear drawer. And the silver we just shoved somewhere. No, I don't know. They're in my sock drawer or t-shirt
I was
drawer.
gonna say, you have a soccer drawer?
No, my
That's
sock.
How, 23 years on the national team. She has a drawer for her soccer awards.
My socks. No, but it's funny. People tend to ask me, and then I was like, well, you put them out, and then you're worried about them, and then if you wear them, everyone's like, oh, you're bragging about your medals.
Right?
You know,
Like,
you can't win.
What are you supposed to do? Now, when you win a World Cup, what do you get? Do you get a medal for that? What is the...
We do get a small medal, but the trophy's kind of the big thing that the girls raise at the end. But we do get a small medal, and I have those in a trophy case. So that's kind of nice.
That's not in your drawer. Your little medal from
well,
the World Cup
they're like this big.
is on display, but your gold medal is in your drawer.
I know.
Your gold medals.
Huh?
Your gold medals
Yes.
are in your drawer.
Are in the drawer. Should we bring them out?
Yes.
I mean, I wish I'd bring them out. I should have brought them here.
On occasion.
On occasion. So do you bring yours out very often?
Sydney, have you had a chance to wear your mother's gold medals? Did you have to get them out of the drawer yourself, or did she get them out for you? She got them out for you.
But see, so next year is Olympic year, so when I run camps, I bring them out and bring them to camps for the kids. So that's nice.
Have you gotten medals playing any sports?
They get second place trophies. What's up with that?
You won't put hers in the drawer, though.
No, the
How cool would it be?
participation trophies. What is up with participation trophies?
What is up with participation
I don't know.
trophies? How cool would it be if she won a medal for a championship in soccer, and she came home and said, and put it in her drawer?
I would love it. I think that would be so cool. She thinks it would be funny too.
Now, you were here. You were signing your book earlier.
Yes.
You got a new book out, Powerhouse. Mm-hmm. What story are you trying to share? What message are you trying to send through your book?
Well, through the Powerhouse, it's about teamwork. And basically, I co-authored it with John and Lynette Gillis, and they were 2 friends we met when I lived in Austin, Texas. And we were talking about the success of the U.S. Women's National Team, and then he's in the business world and she's in academics, and how people don't work together as much in the business world. When you talk about team stuff, they're always like, working together as a team in the business world is not seen as something that's fun. You're always trying to get up the ladder individually. So we decided to write this book to share the stories of the U.S. Women's National Team, but also try to, reach out to those corporations and organizations to say, hey, if you come together and you have a foundation and you have some of these tactics, it could help you be more successful. So really, we're trying to connect the sports world with the business world and kind of use the things that work well here and see if it parallels and helps over in businesses as well. And I think it's a good read. I'm not overly businessy, so when I read that part of the book, I'm not falling asleep, so that's a plus. And then obviously I love the sports part. So I think if you're one or the other, you can really connect with the book, and it is a good read.
Yeah, I was having a chance to read some of it earlier, and absolutely interesting on both sides of it, your sports anecdotes and then the business side as well. And you talk about teamwork, and when I watch basketball, there's some things that are obvious to me right away if a team has good chemistry, if there's good teamwork. One of them is just the number of high fives. In practice, in layup lines, in the game, the number of high fives. If somebody falls down, how many of their teammates' hands are there on a whistle to help them back up? When you're watching soccer, which is a little bit different because it's such continuous action, what are the things that you notice, whether it's at the highest level or at the youth level, that makes you say, this is a team that's really exhibiting good teamwork?
Well, it's very similar. It's the high fives. It's the communication a lot on the field. If you can hear a kid, you can see body language, a huge thing. I'm teaching my kids about body language because this doesn't seem like you're interested, but this, like, I'm ready to go, coach. So I think body language is a big thing. And I'm so big on the high fives. There we go, right? So you're interested in what I'm saying. But also, like, we do the pats on the butt, or that was a big thing I used to do. And usually corner kicks and stuff, that's when you can see players kind of come together, or free kicks. But it is that stuff that makes the difference. And you can see the connection from the players on the bench, cheering out for the team. And I'll share one story with you this was the 2004 Olympics. We're playing Germany in the semifinals, and Julie Foudy, who is our captain and a very passionate and outspoken leader for us, she goes out because she hurts her ankle. And for her to go out, it was bad. And prior to this game, when we were training, we would do these fitness tests where we had to do a 300 in like a minute. And you're dying out there. And our big message during our training leading up to that was, you look strong. So when we're training and practice running this, everyone's like, you look strong. And I'm like, well, I don't feel it. And like, you're so mad you hear that. So anyway, fast forward 2004 Olympics. Foudy's on the sideline, and I played left midfield, and I happened to be on the side where our bench was. And we just went up a goal. Mia just played a great ball to Heather O'Reilly, so we're up a goal. And there's probably like 4 minutes left, but it feels like it's like 20. And we're knocking the ball in our attacking end, right around the side. And I hear Foudy from the sideline. She's like, you look strong! And she's yelling her head off. And then when I was standing there, I was like, yes, I do! Because I finally, I needed to hear that. And I felt strong. We were dominating the game. We were toying with Germany. And it just goes to show with your team, she's our leader. She's off the field. The only thing she can do is yell. And those messages that we were training, when you didn't feel that way, and then you needed that support, it was felt. And it's one of my favorite stories. I shared it with Julie. She doesn't remember it, and I shared it one time. She's like, I never heard that story. I'm like, I know, you were awesome, Jules. So those are the kind of stuff that we love.
Yeah, sure. One of my last questions, talking about looking strong. That's one thing that I'm so proud about of the women in the WNBA is the voice that they have, and they're not afraid to share. Social justice issues, whatever it is, oftentimes the women in the WNBA are the first to speak. The women on the World Cup team are not afraid to speak. What were your thoughts this last World Cup team and some of the things they were willing to say and the stances they were willing to take?
Well, I think, they have this platform. I mean, winning helps get a message across. Winning gives you the platform. And I think the women have been pretty consistent with their message of what they're standing for with their equal pay shirts, coming together and making a stand and not backing down. And obviously, I don't know really what it's going to take. I mean, they're winning. They're dominating, back-to-back World Cups. But I love that they're sticking together because that's really where the message is going to be heard. It's not just by Megan speaking here and then someone speaking over here, Alex saying something totally different, because then that's not going to work. They have a unified message, and that's where the strength is, and strength in numbers. So I'm proud that they keep standing up for what they believe in, and hopefully, making a difference not only in showing that young girls you need to be strong and stand for what you stand for, but also keep doing what you love. because don't let anyone tell you that you can't, because we can do this, and we can do this together.
Well, thank you so much for the role that you've played for not only, you know, daughters like mine and like yours, but to be a strong woman in this environment for the last 20 plus years. And thank you for being here tonight. And for those who haven't yet gotten it, buy Kristine's book.
Thank you. And hey, let's give a hand to Rebecca here. She's awesome. Love it. You've done such a great job. I mean, I love watching you play, but what you do, that's not an easy job, by the way. So you do awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. And a can for Sydney, because this has got to be way past her bedtime.
It's, yeah, she's falling asleep over
Well
here.
done.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.